These are some stories in renal pathology from my viewpoint, and most of them are more or less true. The first I would tell you is my interaction with the great renal pathologist and friend Art Cohen. We did a short course together for 7 years at the United States and Canadian Academy of Pathology. And there was a couple of take-home messages from that. Once I leaned over, not knowing the microphone was live, like some politicians, and said to him at the beginning, there's only one thing worse than giving this, and that's having to sit through listening to us. Unfortunately, the mic was live, and I never did that again. Of course, there were stories of people who have a live mic and go to the restroom, and that's a story for another day. The second story that happened with Art Cohen was I was getting ready to give my talk on what we then call post-infectious glomerulonephritis, and he leans over to me and he says, "You see who's in the audience?" You never know who's in the audience. That's one of the take-home messages. And so I said, "No." And he said, "Well, Karen Sorger." And I said, "Well, who in the hell is Karen Sorger?" And he goes, "Aren't you giving the post-infectious glomerulonephritis talk?" And I said, "Yes." So he says, she has a new classification where she divides the immunofluorescence into 3 parts, mesangial, capillary wall, and Garland pattern. I didn't have time to go to the library. It was before the time of computers. And so when we got to that stage, I went to her, handed her the microphone, and let her talk. You never know who's in the audience.